I'm Naomi Brooks, and I need you to sit with this for a second, because what I'm about to say might feel a little unsettling. What if spiritual awakening isn't the finish line, but a doorway you were never meant to stay in? Most people chase the awakening. They pray for it, cry for it, beg God for that moment when everything finally makes sense. But no one really talks about what happens after. The silence, the shift, the strange feeling that something just ended. Not in a bad way, but in a way you can't quite explain. Have you felt that? Like the fire that once burned so loudly inside you has gone quiet. Not dead, just different. Before we go any further, I want you to be honest with yourself. And if this is already hitting something deep in you, drop a 222 in the comments. I read those, and I know exactly where you are in this journey. Because here's the truth most won't tell you. When awakening ends, something far more serious begins. And if you don't understand it, you might mistake your next level for loss. So stay with me, because what comes next could change the way you see your entire spiritual path.
What happens to the anointed and chosen when spiritual awakening comes to an end? I need to tell you something I have learned the hard way. Spiritual awakening is not the end. It is the beginning. A lot of people spend their whole lives chasing what they call enlightenment, clarity, breakthrough, or awakening. But what if that was never the destination in the first place? What if it was only the threshold? If you are one of God's chosen ones, then you may already feel it. The awakening itself was only the door. What comes after it is where the real transformation begins. And this is the part people rarely talk about. Everyone talks about the fire, the signs, the synchronicities, the sudden revelations, the emotional intensity. But what happens when that season starts to close? What happens when you are no longer waking up, but living awake? That part can feel strange, almost disorienting. I have seen this in my own life and in the lives of people around me. There is a moment when you realize you are not in the search anymore. You are standing on the other side of it. You are free. And sometimes freedom feels unfamiliar when you have spent so long living in spiritual tension. There are many unexpected things that begin to happen when this season ends, things no one really warned you about. That is why so many people get confused here. They assume that if the intensity fades, then something must be wrong. But that is not always true. Sometimes it means the process has gone deeper than emotion. Sometimes it means things are becoming real. And honestly, is that not what many of you have been asking God for all along? Not just another spiritual high, but something solid, something that lasts. You might expect life to stay dramatic after a strong spiritual awakening. You might expect constant signs, repeated confirmations, one revelation after another. I used to think that way too. I thought the closer you got to God, the louder everything would become. But one of the strangest things that happens is that it often becomes quiet. Very quiet. Suddenly life feels calm, maybe even a little empty. And if you are not careful, that quiet can make you nervous. You start wondering, where did the energy go? Where is the excitement? Where are the breakthroughs I used to feel? But what if that calm is not loss at all? What if it is maturity? Ecclesiastes says there is a time to keep silence and a time to speak. I have come to believe there is also a time when God shakes you and a time when He settles you. That calm is not a sign that you are losing your spiritual connection. It can be the exact opposite. It can be a sign that what once had to visit you has now started living in you. You have integrated what God was teaching you. You have grown. You have leveled up. That season of calm can still feel confusing. I know that because I have lived close enough to that tension to recognize it. You may feel like you are missing something. You may even worry that you are going backward. In a world where noise is everywhere and silence makes people uncomfortable, stillness can feel suspicious. But Isaiah says, "In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength." Not in panic, not in constant stimulation, not in chasing the next emotional moment. In quietness, in confidence. Could it be that your spirit is not fading but settling? Could it be that the chaos is gone because it is no longer needed to get your attention? The truth is, this quietness can be proof that your spirit has adjusted to a new place. There is no more need for external chaos to wake you up because you have already done the hard inner work. Now you are learning how to be. Not to chase, not to strive, not to keep reaching for proof every 5 minutes, but to exist in alignment. And that is a very different kind of power. The storm was necessary. It exposed things. It broke things. It moved things. But the calm is where true strength begins to show itself. Have you noticed that some of the strongest people do not seem frantic at all? They are steady, rooted, hard to shake. I have seen that in people I admire, and I have seen it in ordinary people too. Sometimes it is not the loudest voice in the room that carries the deepest authority. Sometimes it is the person who has been through enough with God that they no longer need to prove anything. They just carry peace. It reminds me of the way Jesus moved through chaos. There were storms around him, sick people around him, grief around him, betrayal around him, and still there was a settledness in him that could not be stolen. There is a reason the Psalms say, "Be still and know that I am God." Not be frantic and know. Not be noisy and know. Be still. And then there is another part people do not talk about enough. Your spirit may feel free, but your body is still catching up. After spiritual awakening begins to settle, something unusual can happen. You start noticing changes in your physical body, and they do not always come in a neat pattern. It can feel like your soul moved ahead first, while your body is still trying to process what just happened. Have you ever felt deeply clear in your spirit, but strangely tired in your body at the same time? That contradiction is more common than people admit. You may find yourself feeling more alive than ever before, more awake, more present, more sensitive to life. Then suddenly, without warning, fatigue hits. I have had moments like that myself, and I know how easy it is to misread them. You think maybe you are losing momentum. Maybe something is wrong. But sometimes your body is simply responding more slowly than your spirit. Psalm 103 says that God knows our frame. He remembers that we are dust. I love that verse because it reminds me that God is not shocked by human limitation. He understands that even when the spirit is willing, the body still has to catch up. I have known people who went through deep inner change and thought their exhaustion meant failure, when really it meant adjustment. And honestly, when I look at the world we live in now, I think that confusion makes even more sense. People are worn down mentally, emotionally, physically. Everyone is expected to bounce back instantly, recover instantly, perform instantly. But real transformation is not instant, even when it is holy, even when it is from God. Your spirit may receive something quickly while your body processes it in slower layers. Why should we be surprised by that? So if this season feels quieter than the last one, do not panic. If there are fewer dramatic signs, do not assume God has stepped away. If your spirit feels strong while your body feels uneven, do not mistake that for failure. Sometimes the clearest evidence that awakening has done its work is not more noise, but more depth. Not more chaos, but more stability. Not more striving, but more peace. And maybe that is the deeper question now. Can you recognize God even when He is no longer shouting over a storm, but speaking into a settled soul? What is really happening here? I have asked that question myself more than once, especially in seasons when something in my spirit felt clear, but my body seemed to be moving at a completely different speed. The truth is, your body is still the physical vessel carrying what your spirit has already stepped into. And even if your spirit has risen, awakened, and changed, your body does not always adjust overnight. It takes time. It has to catch up. In a very real sense, you are being recalibrated from the inside out so that your outer life can finally agree with what God has already done within you. That is why this stage can feel so strange. You may start noticing unexpected changes that seem small on the surface, but they are not small at all. Your eating habits may shift without you forcing them. Your sleep may change. Your physical appearance may even begin to look different. Maybe your face seems calmer. Maybe your skin looks clearer. Maybe the tension you used to carry in your shoulders starts easing and your posture changes, as if your body is no longer bowing under the same invisible weight. Have you noticed that? Have you caught yourself looking in the mirror and wondering why something feels different, even if you cannot fully explain it? I have seen moments like that in people who have walked through deep spiritual change. They do not always look dramatically different, but something about them softens and strengthens at the same time. And yet the other side of it can feel unsettling. Sometimes old aches return. Old exhaustion shows up again. Emotions rise out of nowhere and hit harder than expected. One day you feel steady, the next day you feel strangely overwhelmed, and it makes you wonder whether something is wrong. But What if this is not collapse? What if it is release? Scripture says in 1 Corinthians that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. A temple is not abandoned once God enters it. It is cleansed. It is ordered. It is made ready. So when old heaviness starts coming to the surface, that does not always mean you are moving backward. Sometimes it means God is clearing out what no longer belongs in the place where His presence now rests more deeply. I have learned that many chosen ones get discouraged here because they expected healing to feel cleaner than this. They thought once the awakening happened, everything old would disappear in one clean sweep. But that is rarely how real transformation works. Sometimes what was buried has to rise before it can leave. Sometimes your body remembers what your mind tried to forget. In today's world, people talk a lot about being triggered, burnout, emotionally drained. But not enough people stop to ask what the soul and body may still be carrying after years of pressure, fear, survival, and spiritual confusion. Why would we expect your spirit to go through a real shift and your body to feel none of it? That is why even emotions you thought were already healed can suddenly come back around. And yes, that can be deeply confusing. You may catch yourself thinking, I thought I was past this. You may wonder why something you already cried over, prayed over, and surrendered is showing up again. But deeper healing often works that way. It does not always return because it is still ruling you. Sometimes it returns because God is taking it out by the root. The first layer healed your awareness. The next layer heals your depths. Psalm 147 says that He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wound. Not just the wounds you can name easily. Not just the wounds that sit on the surface. The hidden ones too. The old ones too. The ones buried under years of coping. I have seen this in my own life, in small but humbling ways. There were seasons when I honestly thought I had already made peace with certain things, only to have an old emotion surface again when life got quiet enough for me to hear it. At first, I took that as failure. Now, I see it differently. Now, I understand that some healing only begins once you are finally safe enough to feel it fully. And I think many of you are in that exact place. You are no longer just trying to survive. You are finally becoming whole. That sounds beautiful, but it can also feel uncomfortable while it is happening. So do not rush this phase. That is one of the biggest mistakes people make. They treat this stage like a delay instead of recognizing it as alignment. Your spirit may already know the truth, but your body is still learning how to live inside that truth without fear, without tension, without the old patterns controlling every response. Romans chapter 12 says to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Real renewal is not cosmetic. It reaches into the way you think, feel, carry stress, respond to pain, and inhabit your own body. That kind of change takes time. And as strange as these physical and emotional shifts may feel, they are not meaningless. They are not random. They are evidence. Evidence that you have entered a new stage of the journey. Evidence that God is not only touching your spirit, but bringing your whole life into agreement with what He spoke over you. Maybe that is why this season feels so deep. It is not just inspiration anymore. It is embodiment. It is becoming real in your nerves, your habits, your face, your rest, your tears, your strength. And once that begins, how could you stay the same? One of the strangest things I have seen after a spiritual awakening begins to settle is this sudden, deep disconnection from other people. And I do mean deep. The people you used to flow with so easily can start feeling far away. The places that once felt natural can suddenly feel heavy, unfamiliar, almost out of tune with who you are becoming. That can be unsettling. It can hurt more than most people admit. You start wondering why you feel so alone, why conversations that once felt easy now feel forced, why your spirit seems quiet in rooms where you used to feel at home. Have you been feeling that too? I want to say this carefully, because a lot of chosen ones misread this season. This isolation is not always punishment, and it is not automatic proof that something has gone wrong. Many times, it is one of the clearest signs that something has changed in you. You are no longer moving the same way, thinking the same way, feeding on the same things, tolerating the same patterns. Of course, some relationships begin to feel different. Amos asks, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" That question lands differently when your inner life has changed. What feels like rejection may actually be separation with purpose. What feels like distance may be God making room for what belongs in your next chapter. You may even notice that people closest to you no longer seem to understand you. Sometimes they pull back. Sometimes they dismiss what has changed in you. Sometimes they act like the version of you they were comfortable with was easier for them to love. And let me be honest, that part can cut deep, especially when it comes from family or longtime friends. I have watched this happen in quiet ways in real life. Not always through dramatic conflict, but through subtle shifts. Less understanding, less depth, less room for the new person God is forming. And that kind of pain is hard because it does not always look like betrayal. Sometimes it just looks like growing in different directions. But the truth is still the truth. The people who are meant to continue with you will rise to meet this version of you. They may not understand everything immediately, but they will have the grace to honor what God is doing. And those who do not continue are not always evil, and they are not always villains in your story. Sometimes their role was real, but temporary. Ecclesiastes says, "To everything there is a season." Some people were for one season, not every season. That does not erase the love. It just explains the shift. So this disconnection is not something you need to fear. As painful as it can be, it can also be an invitation to stop forcing what no longer fits. An invitation to seek relationships that are more honest, more grounded, more aligned with where God is leading you now. You are not abandoned. You are making space. And sometimes making space feels lonely before it feels holy. What I have also noticed is that when this happens, new people often begin showing up in unexpected ways. Not always in dramatic, mystical ways, but in quiet, timely ways. People who understand you without needing a long explanation. People who recognize something in your spirit because they have also walked through fire. People who do not need the old version of you in order to stay connected. Have you ever met someone and felt peace instead of pressure? No performance, no pretending, no need to shrink yourself just to keep the conversation comfortable. Those connections matter. Proverbs says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. The right people do not drain your becoming. They strengthen it. Yes, this stage can still feel strained. There are moments when it feels deeply isolating. But your awakening has placed you on a road not everyone around you will want to walk, and not everyone will be able to understand. That is painful, but it is also normal. The more you align with where God is taking you, the more the right people will find you. And after a while, what once felt like a burden starts looking a lot more like protection, even a blessing. And then there is another strange shift that catches people off guard. The fireworks are gone. You stop chasing signs, but part of you wonders whether something is missing. When this season of awakening begins to close, one of the most unexpected things that happens is that the magic starts to fade. The repeated numbers are not everywhere anymore. The emotional highs are not hitting the same way. The synchronicities that once seemed constant begin to quiet down. It can honestly feel like heaven has gone silent, and that silence can make you question everything. Did I lose something? Did I drift? Why does it not feel the same anymore? I have wrestled with that kind of quiet myself, and I know how easy it is to misinterpret it. In a world trained to crave stimulation, silence can feel like absence. But you have not lost your connection. Not at all. It may simply be that God no longer needs to shout to get your attention. 1 Kings says the Lord was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a still small voice. There comes a point when the external noise becomes less necessary because something inside you has learned how to listen. Think about it this way. Before, you needed reassurance all the time. You needed reminders, confirmations, something outside yourself telling you that you were still on the right road. But now, the truth has gone deeper. It is no longer just visiting you. It is living in you. Jeremiah records the Lord saying, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. That is what this feels like. The wisdom you once searched for outside yourself has started settling within. The signs did not disappear because heaven left. They quieted because the lesson is no longer outside you. It has become part of you. That transition can still feel unsettling. I understand that. When you have grown used to visible signs of spiritual movement, Their absence can feel like loss. But this is often a sign of maturity, not distance. The deeper you go, the less dependent you become on spiritual adrenaline. You stop needing constant emotional proof that God is near. You begin learning how to live rooted, steady, and aware, even when nothing dramatic is happening. And that may be one of the hardest lessons for chosen ones, because many of you were trained by struggle to expect God only in intense moments. But what if the quiet is its own kind of intimacy? What if this is the deeper form of connection? Psalm 46 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Not be thrilled and know. Not be overwhelmed and know. Be still. The magic has not vanished. It has changed form. You are no longer chasing signs because you are learning to live in alignment. You are no longer waiting for whispers every day because the voice of truth has grown more familiar within you. And that is what makes this stage so sacred, even when it feels strained. The outer confirmations fade, but the inner knowing grows stronger. The noise gets quieter, but the foundation gets deeper. What felt like loss is often growth in disguise. You are not less connected. You are simply becoming the kind of person who no longer needs constant spectacle to know that God is present. Once that season of awakening begins to close, the question changes. It is no longer, "Who am I?" It becomes, "What do I do with who I have become?" And I think that is where a lot of God's chosen ones feel a quiet kind of pressure. After the revelations, after the healing, after the way your whole perception of life seemed to shift, you stand there looking at your life, almost like you are seeing it for the first time. And naturally, a question rises. What now? I have felt that question in my own way before, and maybe you have too. When the searching slows down, when the noise fades, when the old hunger changes shape, what are you supposed to do with the life that is now in front of you? At first, the purpose seemed obvious. You were trying to understand yourself. You were trying to heal. You were trying to make sense of your connection to God, to truth, to the deeper reality. Most people move through life without ever stopping to notice. But once you come through that part, something shifts. A new purpose starts to come into view. It is no longer just about discovery. It is about embodiment. It is about living what you have learned. It is about building a life that matches what God has awakened inside you. Romans tells us, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." But what happens after the renewing starts? You live differently. You choose differently. You carry yourself differently. That is where this chapter begins. Because the end of awakening is not the end of the journey at all. It is the start of a phase that is much more grounded, much more visible, and honestly, much more challenging in some ways. Now the wisdom has to touch your real life. Now what God showed you in private has to become visible in how you speak, how you work, how you love, how you handle pressure, how you respond when nobody is applauding. It is no longer just about discovering your truest self. It is about living as that person when the world around you still tries to pull you back into older versions of you. And is that not where real maturity begins? I have noticed that when people reach this stage, many of them feel a strong pull toward service. Not always in some dramatic or public way, but in a real way. They want their life to mean something beyond themselves. They want to help, guide, build, create, encourage, heal. Sometimes it shows up in work, sometimes in relationships, sometimes in art, in words, and how they carry peace into rooms that used to drain them. Galatians says, "By love, serve one another." That verse becomes very real here. Because once you have been changed deeply, you stop wanting a life that only circles around your own seeking. You begin wanting a life that pours something back out. And that can look different for each of you. For some, it may mean speaking truth more boldly. For some, it may mean raising children with more wisdom than you were given. For others, it may mean creating something honest in a world full of performance. I have seen this in people I know. After certain breaking points, after certain seasons of healing, they stopped chasing empty markers of success and started caring more about whether their lives actually reflected who they had become. There is a reason Jesus said, "Ye are the light of the world." Light does not spend all its time wondering whether it is light. At some point, it simply shines. That is why your purpose now is no longer centered on seeking. It is centered on being rooted, being clear, being aligned, being the person God has been shaping beneath all the noise. And when that becomes real, you naturally begin lifting other people too. Not by forcing it, not by performing spirituality, but by living in such a way that peace, clarity, and truth start reaching people through your presence. Have you noticed that some people change a room without saying much? That kind of influence is real, and it often comes from people who have stopped performing growth and started embodying it. Still, I know this shift can feel strange. When you are no longer searching the way you used to, it can leave what feels like a void. The old striving is gone, but the new direction is not always fully visible yet. And that in-between place can feel uncomfortable. I think many people panic there and assume they are lost, when really they are being repositioned. Psalm 37 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord." Ordered, not always explained all at once, not always revealed in a full map, ordered step by step. Could it be that this quieter phase is not emptiness at all, but preparation? Because it is often in that space, the one that feels open and uncertain, that your deeper purpose begins to emerge. Less striving, more embodiment. Less forcing, more faithfulness. The more honestly you step into who you are now, the clearer your path becomes. I have learned that not everything needs to be figured out in advance. Some things only become clear when you begin walking. Proverbs says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding, and he shall direct thy paths. That is the beauty of this phase. You do not have to solve your whole future in one sitting. You just have to live truthfully in the season you are in. And that is what makes this chapter so powerful. Things begin to unfold with less force and more alignment. The life that once felt like a puzzle starts becoming a witness. You are no longer just trying to understand your purpose. You are becoming it. After awakening, your sensitivity to what is around you does not stay the same. It becomes sharper, deeper, and at times almost overwhelming. I think this is one of the strangest parts of the whole journey, and honestly, one of the least talked about. Something in you becomes so awake that you start noticing what you used to move past without a second thought. You can feel the weight of a room before you even step fully into it. You can sense when someone is carrying grief, tension, envy, or exhaustion without them saying a single word. Has that been happening to you too? Have you found yourself picking up on atmospheres faster than other people seem to? What is happening is not your imagination. It is as if another layer of awareness has opened in you. Before, you may have already been somewhat sensitive, but now it is different. Now the world reaches you more quickly. Noise feels louder. Crowded spaces feel heavier. Even certain conversations can leave you drained in ways you cannot explain. I have felt this in my own life, in simple, modern situations that seem small until you really pay attention. You walk into a store, a gathering, a family dinner, even scroll through certain spaces online, and something in your body immediately tightens. Why? Because your spirit is no longer numb in the same way it used to be. And that can feel like both a gift and a burden. On one hand, it gives you discernment. On the other hand, it can make ordinary life feel exhausting if you do not understand what is happening. Proverbs says, "The prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself." That kind of discernment is not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like quietly sensing that an environment is off. Sometimes it is noticing that certain people smile with their mouth, but not with their spirit. Sometimes it is realizing that what others call normal now feels deeply unsettling to you. That does not make you weak. It may mean your awareness has become more refined. You may also notice that your sensitivity is not limited to people. Certain places start affecting you differently. Even your body reacts more clearly than before. Some foods may suddenly feel too heavy. Some noises feel unbearable. Some spaces feel chaotic, even when they look fine on the outside. I know people hear things like that and quickly dismiss them, but I think many chosen ones know exactly what I mean. Your inner life changes, and suddenly what once felt manageable now feels disruptive. Romans says, "Be not conformed to this world." And sometimes that verse becomes real in ways people do not expect. The more your spirit aligns with what is higher, the more what is empty, noisy, or polluted begins to feel wrong to you. So, no, this is not a curse. It is part of your discernment. It is part of your sensitivity being trained. You are becoming more attuned to what aligns with peace, truth, and the presence of God. And because of that, whatever carries confusion, heaviness, or spiritual interference stands out more clearly. In that sense, this really is a kind of strength. Not because it makes life easier, but because it helps you see more honestly. Have you noticed that some of the things you used to tolerate now disturb your spirit almost instantly? That is not always overreaction. Sometimes it is clarity. At first, this can make you feel uncomfortable, almost like you are carrying too much that does not belong to you. You pick up on moods. You absorb tension. You leave certain places more tired than when you entered. I have known people who thought something was wrong with them, when in reality, they were simply becoming more aware than the people around them. And in today's world, where overstimulation is constant and boundaries are weak, that kind of heightened sensitivity can be especially hard to manage. Everyone is expected to stay endlessly available, endlessly open, endlessly exposed. But that is not wisdom. Even Jesus stepped away from crowd. Even he withdrew when the noise became too much. Scripture says he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. There is a lesson in that. Over time, though, you begin to understand this new awareness better. You learn that not every room deserves your full openness. Not every voice deserves access to your peace. Not every relationship deserves unlimited closeness. You start setting boundaries, not from pride, but from stewardship. You begin protecting your energy, your attention, your inner quiet, because you finally understand how precious they are. And that is where this sensitivity stops feeling like a burden and starts becoming wisdom. You are not here to drown in every atmosphere around you. You are here to discern, to guard what God has placed in you, and to stay focused on what truly matters. So, if you have been feeling more sensitive lately, do not rush to label it as weakness. It may be one of the clearest signs that something in you has become more awake than before. The challenge now is not to shut it down, but to learn how to carry it well. Because once you do, this heightened awareness will stop feeling like chaos and start feeling like guidance. This sensitivity also reaches deeper than atmosphere. It begins to shape the way you understand people. You start picking up on things beneath the surface, not just what they say, but what they are carrying. Their tone, their silence, their tension, their hidden sadness, even the motives behind certain words begin to stand out more clearly. Have you noticed that? Someone can smile at you, and still your spirit tells you they are not at peace. Or someone says very little, yet you can feel the weight they are dragging behind them. That kind of awareness can be beautiful, but it can also be heavy if you do not learn how to carry it wisely. I have seen this happen in ways that are almost impossible to explain to people who have never gone through it. You begin to understand others on a deeper level, almost like you are listening past the conversation itself. Proverbs says, "The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts." There are moments when it feels like that inner candle gets brighter. You are not just reacting to appearances anymore. You are discerning what is underneath. And yes, that can help you move through relationships with much more clarity. But it also means you have to be careful. Empathy without boundaries can leave you carrying burdens that were never yours to hold. That is why your sensitivity is not weakness. It is strength, but only when it is governed well. It is what allows you to move through life with discernment, compassion, and a kind of quiet clarity that many people spend years trying to develop. Still, the key is learning how to manage it without letting it overrun you. I think that is one of the hardest lessons for chosen ones, because when your heart is open, your instinct is often to absorb, fix, rescue, or carry. But not every emotion you feel belongs to you. Not every pain you detect is yours to take home. Galatians says, "Bear ye one another's burdens," but that does not mean drowning in everyone else's storm. There is wisdom in knowing where love ends and over-carrying begins. And this new awareness really is one of the strangest things that rises after awakening begins to settle. It is almost like your ordinary senses are no longer your only guide. You are noticing more, feeling more, understanding more. Not because you are becoming dramatic, but because you are becoming awake in a deeper way. The connection you now have with the world around you is not shallow anymore. It is quieter than before, but stronger, more grounded, more real. Then comes another strange part. On the outside, life may look like it has gone back to normal. You wake up, move through your day, talk to people, handle responsibilities, and from a distance, everything seems the same. Same streets, same routines, same phone calls, same ordinary hour. But something feels different, doesn't it? You feel different. And the strange part is that sometimes nothing on the surface has changed enough for other people to even notice. I think this is one of the most confusing stages after awakening, because when life starts looking ordinary again, it is easy to assume the transformation is over, or worse, that maybe nothing truly changed at all. I have had seasons where I looked around and thought, why does everything appear the same if I know I am not the same? But that is exactly the point. The deepest transformations are not always flashy on the outside. They settle into your perception first. Romans says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That verse says nothing about your surroundings changing first. It starts with you. And once you change at that level, the whole world begins to land differently on your soul. The world may still be the world, but your perception of it is no longer the same. Things that once triggered you do not hit with the same force. Things that once excited you may now feel strangely neutral. The drama that used to pull you in now feels exhausting. The approval that once mattered now seems smaller than it used to. Have you noticed yourself reacting differently and almost surprising yourself? Situations that once would have sent you into stress now meet a calmer version of you. Things that once felt urgent now look temporary. That is not emptiness. That is growth. And I want to say that clearly, because many people misunderstand this state. When old excitement fades, they assume they have lost passion. But often, that is not what is happening at all. You are not losing life. You are losing dependence on constant stimulation. You are no longer being ruled by the need for external validation, emotional highs, or unnecessary chaos. That is a very different thing. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth." The world trains people to live off adrenaline, attention, and reaction. But the peace of God produces a steadiness that feels unfamiliar at first, especially if you have spent years mistaking intensity for aliveness. I have seen this in people who have gone through hard, holy change. They still laugh, still work, still show up for life, but there is less desperation in them, less proving, less emotional whiplash. They are present without being easily shaken. And honestly, in the world we live in now, that kind of groundedness almost looks unusual. We live in a culture of outrage, speed, and overstimulation. Everyone is pulled to react instantly, chase instantly, crave instantly. So when God begins producing calm in you, it can feel strange simply because it is so different from what this world rewards. But that return to normalcy, as strange as it feels, is a gift. It means you are learning how to stay rooted in spiritual truth while living an ordinary human life. And that may be one of the most powerful outcomes of all. Not just feeling close to God in intense moments, but carrying that groundedness into a normal Tuesday, a hard conversation, an unexpected setback, a quiet evening when nothing dramatic is happening. That is where the change proves itself. That is where it becomes real. So, if life looks ordinary again, do not assume the journey has lost its power. Sometimes the strongest proof of transformation is not that everything around you changed, but that you can stand in the same world and no longer be ruled by it. And before we close, I do not want to leave this as just another message you listened to and moved on from. I want to slow down here, because everything we have talked about means very little if it never becomes personal between you and God. Maybe some part of this message felt uncomfortably accurate. Maybe it explained what you have been feeling but could not put into words. Maybe you have been wondering why life feels quieter, why people feel more distant, why your body and emotions seem to be catching up to something your spirit already knows. This is the moment to bring all of that before God. So wherever you are right now, if you can, take a deep breath, let your shoulders relax, and let us turn this into prayer. Father God, I come before you with a humble heart, and I lift up every person listening to these words right now. You see them completely. You see the hidden changes, the private questions, the silent tears, the confusion they have not told anyone about, and the quiet ways their soul has been shifting. Nothing about this season has escaped your notice. Nothing about their journey has been wasted. And right now, Lord, I ask that you meet them in a way that is gentle, real, and undeniable. For the one who feels like awakening has ended, and now does not know what comes next, remind them that you are still leading. Remind them that the quiet is not abandonment. Remind them that just because the signs are fewer and the emotional highs are not as intense does not mean you have stepped away. Your word says, "Be still and know that I am God." So I pray that in the stillness, they would know you more deeply than ever before. Not through noise, not through constant spiritual excitement, but through a settled, rooted confidence that you are near. Lord, I pray for the chosen one who feels disoriented by this new chapter. They do not feel the same, and sometimes they do not know how to explain that to anyone around them. Life looks normal on the outside, but inside everything feels different. Their perspective has changed. Their hunger has changed. Their tolerance for what drains them has changed. And sometimes that makes them feel alone. Father, comfort them in that place. Let them know that transformation often feels lonely before it feels clear. Let them know they are not broken. They are being made new. I pray for the one who has felt disconnected from people they once loved deeply. For the one who has watched friendships shift, conversations grow shallow, and relationships become strained because they are no longer who they used to be. Lord, heal the pain of that separation. Where there has been rejection, bring peace. Where there has been misunderstanding, bring strength. Where there has been grief, bring comfort. Help them not to cling to what you are gently removing. Help them trust that if certain people are falling away, it does not always mean bitterness or failure. Sometimes it simply means the season has changed. And I pray that you would bring the right people into their life. People who carry wisdom, honesty, spiritual maturity, and peace. Bring them the relationships that can hold the weight of who they are becoming. Father, I pray for the one whose sensitivity has become so deep that daily life feels overwhelming. The one who walks into rooms and feels the heaviness immediately. The one who picks up on other people's sadness, confusion, anger, or hidden motives. The one who has started to realize they cannot live the same way they used to because their spirit is more awake now. Lord, teach them how to carry this sensitivity without being crushed by it. Teach them how to discern without fear. Teach them how to love without absorbing what you never asked them to carry. Teach them how to protect their peace without feeling guilty. Your word says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So I pray that you would help them guard what you have awakened in them. And Lord, I especially pray for the one whose body feels like it is still catching up, the one who feels strong in spirit but tired in body, the one whose emotions have resurfaced in ways they did not expect, the one who thought they had already healed, only to find old pain rising again. Give them patience with themselves. Give them compassion for their own process. Do not let them mistake resurfacing pain for failure. Remind them that deep healing often happens in layers. Remind them that you are not only healing what is visible, but also what has been hidden for years. Your word says He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. I ask you to do exactly that. Bind the places in them that still ache. Heal what they cannot fully explain. Bring peace to the nervous system, calm to the mind, rest to the body, and steadiness to the emotions. Father, for the chosen one who is wondering what their purpose is now, speak clearly. Not necessarily all at once, not in a way that overwhelms them, but in a way that gives them confidence for the next step. Show them that this new season is not about striving the way they used to. It is not about chasing identity anymore. It is about embodying the truth you have already revealed. It is about living what they have learned. It is about carrying peace into everyday life, carrying discernment into relationships, carrying truth into decisions, and carrying love into a world that has forgotten how to be still. Let them understand that purpose is not always loud. Sometimes purpose looks like quiet obedience. Sometimes it looks like healthy boundaries. Sometimes it looks like choosing peace over chaos, truth over performance, and depth over appearance. Lord, I pray against every lie that tells them they have gone backward. I pray against the fear that tells them they have lost their connection to you. I pray against confusion, spiritual fatigue, emotional heaviness, and the temptation to compare this chapter to the last one. Break the need for constant external validation. Break the addiction to noise. Break the belief that you are only present in dramatic moments. Help them recognize you in the ordinary, in the stillness, in the slower days, in the hidden growth, in the quiet strength that now lives where panic used to live. And Father, I ask for a holy confidence to rise in them. Not arrogance, not self-importance, but settled confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you have done a real work in them. Let them stop doubting every quiet season. Let them stop grieving versions of themselves that they have outgrown. Let them stop shrinking to fit places you have already called them out of. Strengthen their inner life. Deepen their discernment. Sharpen their wisdom. And let the fruit of this season become visible in the way they live, the way they speak, the way they respond, and the way they love. I thank you for every life listening right now. I thank you that what you begin, you finish. I thank you that you are patient with us when we do not understand our own process. I thank you that you are strong when we feel weak, clear when we feel confused, and near when we feel alone. Let your presence rest on them tonight. Let your peace guard their heart and mind. Let your wisdom guide their next step. And let them walk forward from this prayer more grounded, more secure, and more aware that you are with them than they were before. In the mighty and precious name of Jesus, amen. And let me leave you with this. If you have made it to the other side of awakening, then you already know this journey was never just about chasing signs, feeling spiritual highs, or collecting moments that made you feel special. It was about becoming. It was about being stripped of illusions, confronted with truth, healed in places you could not explain, and then learning how to live with that truth when life starts looking ordinary again. And in my opinion, that is where the real test begins. Not in the fire, but after it. Not in the dramatic moment, but in the quiet life that follows. I think a lot of God's chosen ones get confused here because they expect transformation to always feel intense. They expect heaven to keep speaking through constant signs, emotional surges, and supernatural moments. But what if the deeper miracle is this? You are calmer now, wiser now, harder to deceive now, and more rooted than you used to be. What if the proof is not that life got louder, but that your soul got steadier? That matters. In today's world, where everything is noisy, fast, performative, and desperate for attention, a peaceful and discerning spirit is rare. And I do not say that lightly. I really believe one of the greatest signs of spiritual growth today is being able to live in a chaotic world without letting that chaos own you. Maybe that is why this message matters so much. Because some of you have been worrying that the quiet means you lost something. Some of you have been wondering why certain people no longer fit, why old emotions resurfaced, why your body feels like it is still catching up, why life seems normal on the outside but completely different on the inside. But none of that means you are going backward. It may mean you are finally becoming stable in what God has been forming in you all along. And honestly, I have come to believe that this stage is holier than most people realize. This is where what God showed you stops being an idea and starts becoming your life. This is where discernment becomes how you move. Peace becomes how you respond. Boundaries become wisdom, not guilt. Compassion becomes deeper, but so does clarity. You stop needing to prove that you have changed because the fruit begins to speak for itself. As Scripture says, "By their fruits ye shall know them," not by their noise, not by their performance, by their fruit. So, if this is where you are right now, do not be afraid of this chapter. Do not mistake stillness for emptiness. Do not mistake separation for abandonment. Do not mistake sensitivity for weakness. And do not mistake ordinary days for the absence of God. Some of the deepest work He does in His chosen ones happens when the fireworks are gone and all that remains is truth. Real truth. Lived truth. If this message found you at the right time, I want you to do something simple. Leave a comment with "I am walking in alignment" if you know God has been changing you in ways other people may not fully understand yet. And if part of this message felt like it was telling your story, let me know that too. I really mean that. Because so many people are carrying these changes in silence, and sometimes one honest comment becomes the reminder that you are not the only one walking through this. And if you have been enjoying these messages, subscribe, stay connected, and keep walking with me through this journey. There is still so much to talk about, and I truly believe the people who are meant to hear these words are not here by accident. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for staying to the end. I do not take your time lightly. In a world where attention is cheap and distraction is everywhere, the fact that you stayed, listened, and opened your heart means something. And wherever you are in this season, my prayer is that God gives you the clarity to understand it, the strength to endure it, and the peace to trust what He is doing, even when you cannot yet explain it. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not empty. You are becoming